I worked for a bunch of random companies. And then after I graduated, I got a full-time job there. And it was this constant feeling of not, like, it just didn't fit. And I quit to move to Silicon Valley and work for a startup. And then finally something clicked for me, which was I got promoted enough times where I had a chance to then take another shot. And the choice was stay at AOL, where I'd become kind of an executive, or leave, and I left and I went to Mayfield. And then I was like, wow, this is great, I've made it. I had known Mark through that process, and I went and I worked at Facebook from 2006 to 2011. And I woke up one day and I was like, well, if I stay, I'm now only staying for the money. And I left and I started Social Capital.
Are we doing a walk down memory lane of our Steve Jobs stories?
Did you have one?
I interviewed with him for a job.
What? Oh, come on. You can't not tell that story.
Right when I left Facebook. I had a pretty large project that never saw the light of day, which was this Facebook phone. There was a rumor that they wanted to consolidate iPhone into one business unit. I got approached by a recruiter saying they're thinking of creating a role which is kind of like head of iPhone. This was in 2011. And I was adamant that I would never work for anybody until I heard it was Steve Jobs. And I was like, I will do whatever he says. Whatever job.
Wow.
Dude, I would have driven his car. I would have been, yes, sir. I went through a couple of interviews. I'm not going to get into those details. At the end of it, it was like, well, he's not going to be the CEO. He's going to become executive chairman. And so you'll be reporting to Tim Cook. And that's where that process died. They said I wasn't a good cultural fit for Apple in the new era. That was my only job interview that I had when I was leaving Facebook. Every time we're on the verge of victory, somebody in the military-industrial complex invents some escalation of something so that we can just go to war. The answer always seems to be, let's go to war, or let's support a war, or let's enable a war. And the bulwark to that has been the president. If we go to war, this totally screws everything up. You could see oil double. What happens to the economy of the world, of world GDP, of everything, of inflation? If you have oil at $100 a barrel, $112 a barrel, it's not good. So you have to wonder, like, why would people want this escalation? Who wants this escalation? And you see that it's deeply beneficial for America to avoid anything calamitous happening here. So I hope we find an off-ramp, and I hope that the president gets his way.
So then when I saw him at David's house, it's pretty incredible. It's a larger-than-life figure, and he's extemporaneous. He talks for an hour and a half. He's going all over the place. He's doing the weave. You know, it's incredible.
And he's hilarious, too.
He's very funny.
Yes.
Which is really hard to be, actually.
Yes.
And so I walked away thinking, wow, I had got it totally wrong. And I was lied to. And I believed at a very superficial level what the mainstream media was saying. And then I did even more research. You know, I read the lawsuits, and it was just the amount of contortion that people were going through to try to prevent this man from getting into power made me want him to be in power even more.
Yes.
Because I thought they're afraid of something. That's something they're not going to say out loud, but that is the thing that we need to exercise from the U.S. government.
Yes.
That thing that they want to protect.
So nicely put. That's right. It's not even now clear exactly. It's disclosure of some kind.
Google was planning a $1 billion spend on a data center in Indianapolis. There was enough pushback. And so I think to avoid what would have been an awkward press cycle, Google just pulled it. In this same week, it happened 2 other times. In Wisconsin, there was a proposal very similar to Google's, but this time from Microsoft. And in the 11th hour, Microsoft pulled it. And then in the third example, there was an attempt by an Amazon data center to get built near Tucson that I think also was mothballed. I do think that this is the beginning of a trend. Why is this happening? People are seeing their prices of electricity go up in the local areas where the data centers are being built. These hyperscalers need to get these communities on their side. We can't have this narrative that AI may take your job away while it's also doubling your electricity price, because they're not feeling and seeing the abundance that we think that it can offer. We need to figure out how to fix this, because you can't have Google, Microsoft, and Amazon cancel essential projects that advance this entire sector and economy forward. We're not talking about some random fly-by-night business here. We're talking about 3 of the 5 pinnacle horsemen of the AI race. I think that we can fix those problems. My idea is you have to use the balance sheet of these big companies, and it can act as a cushion for a lot of what needs to happen. They can pay higher tariffs for electricity. They can also just frankly go and pay for some amount of the electricity bill of these local folks. They could pay for solar and storage if they wanted to. There's a plethora of ideas here where they probably are going to need to step into market to get folks on their side. And I think they have to do it.